The Free Palestine protesters are going to be over the next few days. We have a lot of demonstrations in this country. Well, Donald Trump just freed Palestine, apparently, and these hostages are coming back. And I just wonder, for all of the anti-American and anti-Western civilization sentiment in these rallies that we've seen, what do they have to say today? I thought we might see a little bit more today, but it makes me wonder what they were rallying for all these months.
So it is the Martha Zoller Show. I'm here with Ron Hart. And Ron, it's kind of a big few days. We've got a peace plan in the Middle East that looks like it's going to at least start. I don't know if it'll stick because it's the Middle East, but it's a different approach than we've seen in ever. And, we still got the government shutdown. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. So your thoughts on the peace deal?
Yeah, it's I wouldn't be surprised if an Obama-appointed judge out west would overturn the peace deal, put it to the court system, and see if see if it can work its way, back to the Supreme Court. Yeah, it sounds like a good deal to me. Like you said, the Middle East is fraught with dishonesty and expedience and whatever it takes to get this thing done. They only know power; it's the only thing they know over there. So Trump kind of came in, figured out what everybody wanted, gave them a little bit what they wanted, and took things they didn't want, and got a deal done. So, I mean, whether it'll hold or not, I'm sure the left-wing diplomacy team will shoot holes in it, but all they do is dilly-dally. They go to five-star hotels once a year, have summits, and spend a bunch of money and say we'll meet again next year.
I do think it's interesting that three real estate guys did better in, than the career diplomats for the last 50 years.
Yeah, Biden was chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He's supposed to be this great diplomat, world guy, and he never even called Putin. I mean, he never even tried anything. So they fall prey to the traditional dogma of the diplomacy staff, which are a bunch of blowhards with Ivy League degrees that like to talk big stuff and big words and circular words. And Trump gets right down to it in very plain language. Shoot. Lost her. Hello? Okay. Damn it.
Hart back, so we're going to be able to talk with him. I know we just had a little glitch here where we lost you for a few seconds.
We're back, yeah.
And now we're back. Hey, Ron, how are you? Yeah,
Hey,
we went dark here for about 25 seconds. So we're probably someone ran into a telephone pole or something.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Trump's done a good job, and look, time will tell whether he gets the Nobel Peace Prize or not. Totally see the votes coming in, and they tell him he is awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and then overnight the mail-in ballots come in, they give it to Biden.
That would be funny. Now, what do you think about the government shutdown?
I say keep it shut down, and this is the least noticeable shutdown ever of the government. In the past you hear them, moaning and crying, shutting down open air parks and shutting bathrooms at Yellowstone just to show us who's boss, type of thing. And government's being very petulant about the shutdown. Right now, they just kind of shut down quietly, and it'd be a great time to doge a few people, in my view.
Well, he actually moved a bunch of the tariff money over to the WIC program so that there's going to be no interruption in that, and I think that's a positive thing. That's a good use of that money, actually.
Yeah, it gives you a good time to prioritize what is important, and what is important are the things that you miss, right? So if you're missing air traffic control, if you're missing the nuclear, obviously you have to have the nuclear people with the codes and all. They have to be employed, the military, et cetera. But beyond that, a lot of these, these 450 agencies in D.C., I think we really need about 100 of them max.
Absolutely. Hey, Ron Hart, what are you writing about this week?
I wrote about the shutdown. Yeah, just basically the shutdown and the Schumer shutdown, what they did, and had overplayed their hand. And they're really not in a strong position, but it's because AOC has him in the primary target So he has to tack to the left, and they just seem awkward and not genuine and combative and kind of weak. They need a leader with some charisma like Clinton or Obama to take such bad policies to the next level. They can't do it with bad people, bad salesmanship.
Do you think Rahm Emanuel could be that guy?
Yeah, I think most reasonable. I think the Shapiro's probably the best one, but Rahm seems like he's a plain talker who gets it more than most Democrats. He's got sharp elbows. He's tough. Probably got some skeletons in his closet, I would guess. Know what I know
Everybody
about him.
does.
His brother
Everybody does.
Yeah. No one cares anymore.
Yeah,
You're
that's right. Ron Hart, thanks for being with us today. Appreciate it very much.
Take care.
Yeah, so Chandelle, I know that he was making the joke about the Nobel Prize that it'll be, but we know that the Nobel Prize has been awarded to the opposition person in Venezuela,
right? Maria Corina Machado,
which I think is fine. Look, I didn't expect Trump to get the Nobel Prize because this deal just was done yesterday, and I'm sure the committee. Yes, they did give a premature Nobel Prize to Barack Obama. Okay, I think everyone can agree with that. But I think that if we go another year out, if this peace is held, and also that maybe Ukraine has been dealt with too, it could be there. But I think the more important thing is, do these deals hold?
That's right.
Yes.
It's a little premature to be awarding the Nobel Peace Prize when nothing has happened yet to someone like Donald Trump. He is campaigning for it. I mean, I've heard less than half a dozen commentators say he really deserves it. I'm not sure he was that instrumental in other than just the idea that he is a strong man, right? That's his whole vibe. And so people believe that. And I think who was really responsible for it, and I'm just speculating, is Jared Kushner.
Oh, I think, yes,
and
absolutely.
Steve Witkoff. And the people with boots on the ground.
Yeah, but who put those people in those positions? That's, those people wouldn't be there negotiating.
No
he appointed it isn't that he married into it. You're
Jason Kushner married into the Trump
I
family.
understand that, but the point is those people wouldn't be there negotiating had Trump not put them there negotiating.
Right, and I think Jared Kushner and his family, Charles Kushner being the, is he the ambassador to France?
Something like that, yeah.
I believe they are known for their strong Judaism in New York. I had a friend who worked for that organization, and he told me some interesting stories about them. But the takeaway was how strong they were about their Jewish faith. They started a school, a Jewish school, and, of course, Charles Kushner had later problems with his divorce.
Everybody has problems, though. That's the thing. If the idea is, I'm long past thinking the people that I support are perfect people. Okay, I think I've been let down so many times by
With only 3 races left before the championship, Xfinity Racing kicks off the round of 8 in Vegas for the Focused Health 302. Coverage begins Saturday at 7 on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It's football time, which means Thursday and Sunday take their rightful place as the best days of the week. Well, those 2 days just got better because now through October 26th, Keno has 30% higher payouts during bonus hours. Say it with me. Higher Keno payouts on Thursdays and Sundays during bonus hours. Win $500, it becomes $650. That's like getting extra field goal points for scoring a touchdown. So play Keno online and anywhere Keno is sold and get 30% higher payouts during bonus hours. Thursdays 6 to 8 p.m. and Sundays 1 to 3 p.m. Keno bonus hours only through October 26th and only from the Georgia Lottery. Please play responsibly. Always check and sign your ticket.
Play the Georgia Lottery anytime, anywhere, on any device with Powerball, Mega Millions, Keno, and more. Win up to $400,000 instantly with over 50 fun DigiGames. Play now at PlayDigi.com. That's PlayDigi.com.
Tune in to WSB Channel 2 for your official Georgia Lottery drawing and check out the Players Club at GALottery.com.
Hey, Daddy, what's in a crawl space?
That's a good question, Annie. I'm Cody Lovin with Crawl Space Medic. Musty smells, dampness, and sagging insulation means your crawl space or basement might need some attention. Our team quickly finds and fixes moisture problems, updates moisture barriers, and resolves structural issues, ensuring your home stays dry and comfortable. Don't let your crawl space problems affect your comfort, air quality, or property value. Visit crawlspacemedic.com.
A healthy home starts from the ground up.
There's nothing quite like a local neighbor. That's why AARP is local, right here in Midtown Atlanta, to offer you free events and enriching experiences that help you with finances, family, and fun. We're in the community, connecting you to what matters most right when you need it. Visit our website at aarp.org/GA or visit us on social media at AARP Georgia to find out more information on how we're helping your money, health, and happiness live as long as you do.
Whether it's a slip that ends in a slip disc, a trick knee that's holding you back, or shoulder pain hurting your game, you can count on Northside Hospital Orthopedics. With leading care in Georgia at convenient locations all across the state, we're here to get you back on your feet, no matter what comes your way. Because Georgia moves us, and we keep Georgia moving. Find a provider near you at northside.com/ortho. That's northside.com/ORTHO.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, City of Gainesville's Mule Camp Market is back for 2026 at Midland Greenway, starting this morning. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Listening to him tell this guy that he's looking for a moment, but Hakeem is being just as performative. Somebody was recording that for him because he wanted to put on a show as well. And I'm not impressed by Hakeem Jeffries telling somebody they got a boss. Chuck Schumer's Hakeem Jeffries' boss. The real estate lobbyist in New York City, Hakeem's boss. The finance lobbyist in New York City is his boss. Ask Hakeem if he will ever get permission from his bosses at AIPAC to endorse the Democratic nominee in New York City for mayor. I'm just saying.
You really don't like Hakeem.
Stop saying that.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That was Charlemagne the God on his morning show. And, he is a very interesting guy because he will say things that other people won't say. And there was this argument between Hakeem Jeffries and I forgot the name of the Republican, Lawler, that kind of made the rounds. And they were both, you know what I hate about this world we live in? They were both videoing that, and both of them put it out, with different perspectives on it. I am so sick, Chandelle, of the performative nature of politics rather than getting work done.
It's not just politics.
No, it's not.
It's everything.
The lifestyle.
Everything is hyped or spinned to the particular persuasion of the person doing it. Right?
Yes.
There's very few situations where things are not promoted anymore. And that's fine. I mean, I'm okay with it. I can spot it from a mile away.
I actually, and it's funny, somebody said, you've got someone helping you with your social media now, don't you? And I said, well, yeah, I do. And I have a company that I've hired that does 3 posts a week that are either my Georgia Gang appearance, my podcast, and, and it might be some motivational message is the third one, if it's a holiday or something like that. And I do. I have a person because I'm not on social media as much as I was because I think it's toxic. I don't do Instagram or TikTok anymore. I only do X during the show or prepping for the show for no other reason. I did a University of Georgia post today. I'll do something like that because I find I get more followers if I mix it up, and I don't care about the numbers really, but if I mix it up with like, hey, I'm a University of Georgia fan in addition to maybe something about an issue, I get more interaction if I do that.
Yeah.
So it's more positive interaction. But the other thing is I never read the comments. And I found out.
I'm not going to waste my time saying, you look beautiful.
Yes. But it's
stunning.
It's funny because a friend of mine sent me a screenshot of a post on Reddit about me. I don't do Reddit either. I've always thought Reddit was a bunch of crap. That is kind of like there are parts of Reddit where, like, if it's process stuff, like this is how you do this, and people chime in and give you advice. But the stuff about politics is just total crap, and it's all people that won't use their real names. It's all made up names, so you don't know if it's real people or not. You don't know any of that. But what got my ire a little bit about this, because I don't care if people talk about me, but this particular post made some assertions about my daughter in it too, and that it was driven to an OnlyFans account because she hated me, and that kind of thing. And I just and I didn't respond to it. I don't even know why somebody sent it to me because they thought I would want to know,
right?
Because I'd be afraid it was out there. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of that stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of bad stuff about me out there, a lot of it. But I know what's true and what's not true.
Right. Yeah, I don't know that anybody really cares to talk about me, so I don't have those worries. I might be a little concerned if someone said my daughter had an OnlyFans account. I'd probably call her, check it out, see if it's true, and then not really worry about it after that.
Well, I knew it wasn't true, but she looked to be sure because, there are people that have the same name as somebody else, and so they might assume that it's you. And it's not.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You don't have, Chandelle Summer's kind of an unusual name.
Right.
But,
There's not that many of us.
Not that many of us. But your daughter has a name that could be repeated by a lot of people. And you know what I'm saying? That could
be. And it would be a good OnlyFans name, Georgia Summer.
I didn't want to say it. You said her name, so that was good. So I think it's interesting. But I got a text message in that said, Martha, how do we know that some of the hostages who are deemed dead and their bodies cannot be found are actually being held in hidden places by Hamas? Patty in Cleveland.
I totally agree. That was my first thought when they said, oh, by the way, we don't have all the remains. Well, you better find them because we need verification
of
that
every
they're not
person
still
that was
alive
missing.
And just being held in captivity. For sure.
Yeah. There's a new documentary on HBO called, I said yesterday it was called October 7. It's not. It's called One Day in October. It's in Hebrew. You can get the English subtitles. It is worth a watch because it shows the Arab-Israeli relationship within Israel. There were Arab hostages that were taken, Bedouins that were released. One was rescued by the IDF, and so it showed. I thought it was very good, and it was really. I mean, I was nervous as a cat at the end of it because it seemed so real. It was a remade thing, but it seemed so real. So it's called One Day in October. Eli Sharabi is going to be at the Jewish Community Center called the JCC tomorrow. It is before their big book festival. The big book festival at the JCC begins on October 23rd. Okay, but on Saturday, Eli Sharabi is going to be there talking about his book Hostage. And Logan, I know I sent you some audio from an interview with him, and I'd like to play it now.
You are a fluent Arabic speaker. You were one of the few who were fluent Arabic speakers before going in. And so you had also these very rich conversations, which some of the most interesting pieces in the book for me, things I didn't have access to, was what Hamas guys were talking about in the tunnels.
Of course, they are brainwashed. They believe everybody wants to kill them all the time, that you wake up in the morning and say, and think how you can kill more Palestinians today. And after they know me a little bit, for a few days, one of them said to me, well, I wish everybody was the same like you. And I said to him, most of Israelis are like me. Nobody wants to kill you. Everybody wants peace and to live next to you and with you. You can see there's loads of ignorance, especially among the young people, because the terrorists of 50 and plus in their age, most of them used to work in Israel, know a little bit about Israel. I talked with them about streets in Tel Aviv and what they've done, people they knew in the past and how they remember them.
People who he was going to be a help to these younger people that didn't know how to handle it. And he said, I think I shared this in the Grove Street event we attended on Tuesday, but it was like I told people they can feel sorry for themselves for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes, but then they've got to focus on getting out and getting back to their loved ones.
Yeah, survival is tough. and sometimes it's not within your control. So to the extent that you can control your path, I guess that's the only thing you can do when you're in captivity.
You know, and I wonder, this documentary I talked about, you know, one of the things it really highlighted is how you go from being a woman who's just, you know, riding her bicycle for exercise in the morning, and then a guy that was working in a kitchen who end up, you know, hiding under a tree, and it's 9 hours till the IDF gets there, and they are burned out of the place where they're hiding because Hamas went behind, you know, after they went through and killed a bunch of people, they went by and started burning all the fields, everything, because they knew people were hiding in the fields. And so they started burning it up. And that was very real feeling, you know, and then they're through the GPS on the kitchen worker's phone, his family was able to find him. And came in a car, and along the way, they were picking up women who had blood all over them and were taking them to safety and were trying to help them. But these were Arabs that lived in Israel. And so when they got to the IDF coming in, the IDF, of course, took them all out of the car and made them lay on the ground because they were Arab. And the woman was saying, no, they helped us. And she said, and he goes, did they tell you to say that, or are you a hostage? I mean, that's what the IDF soldier said to her. And she goes, no. We've been together all day. He's helped me. He works for a restaurant. You know, I know him, you know, all this kind of stuff. And so they were able to continue on, and they ended up saving this group of this extended family of Bedouin Arabs, ended up saving something like 100, or taking to safety 100 people that had survived, which is because they kept going back and getting more people and coming back. And I hope I would be that person, or would I just be the person that would save myself? I hope I would be the person that would go back and help other people.
Yeah, I guess you never know until you're in the moment, right?
Yeah.
That's the moment of truth.
Yeah, and to see that these guys, you know, jumped in and helped with the resources that they had.
You know, it kind of reminds me of the story. This is a little off point, but do you remember the Jim Jones, Jamestown? Is it
yes.
Jamestown?
Yes, Jonestown
saga where everybody
took the Kool-Aid,
committing suicide, mass suicide. But there was a congressional delegation that went over just maybe at the same time, and they were starting to get notes from people saying, I want to get out of here. And that congressman was killed over in
Guyana, I think is where it was.
Guyana?
I think.
Yes. But one of his assistants, who later became a congresswoman, escaped, and she escaped into the woods, and she hid out in the woods overnight and then caught a plane back the next day, was able to jump on a plane that was leaving. But she laid in an ant bed, and she didn't move because she was so afraid that she would be noticed. But can you imagine? You're just all night long in a red ant bed.
Yeah.
Because you're so afraid that if you move, I guess you do it. Because survival is
the instinct. Survival is the instinct. And wanting to survive. There's a difference between people who want to survive and don't want to survive. And, you know, I think Eli Sharabi is one of those people that wanted to survive. We'll be back.
What if I'm survived by a spouse with dementia or in a nursing home? Will they be protected? This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I've been helping people in your situation for over 35 years. And I can help you protect your loved ones when the time comes. But you need to make the first call. Visit my website at kevintharpwithane.com and learn how to get help planning for the future of your loved ones. That's kevintharpwithane.com.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
President Trump is about to go see a doctor. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. He'll soon head to Walter Reed Medical Center.
When he goes for what he is describing as a semi-annual physical, the president says there's nothing to worry about health-wise.
And Fox's Peter Ducey reports from the White House the president will also meet with some U.S. troops at Walter Reed, while others will be deployed to Israel.
We are told 200 U.S. personnel already assigned to CENTCOM have new orders to monitor Gaza to make sure the peace holds. They will work with international partners. These U.S. service members will not deploy as boots on the ground for fighting in Israel or Gaza.
This as the ceasefire takes hold.
The Israeli military says the truce with Hamas came into effect at noon local time. Troops now withdrawing to pre-agreed lines, which will leave Israel controlling for now just over half of the Gaza Strip. Once the troop redeployment is complete, Hamas will have 72 hours to release the 20 remaining living hostages and send home the bodies of 28 others. Aid is now scheduled to pour into Gaza. Palestinians are beginning to return to neighborhoods now reduced to rubble.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Because the president brokered that deal, Trump supporters thought he deserved the Nobel Peace Prize, but he didn't get it this morning, prompting the White House communications director to post on X the Nobel Committee plays politics over peace. The committee instead decided
to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 to Maria Corina Machado.
Machado is a Venezuelan opposition activist living and hiding there because of death threats. This morning, she thanked President Trump and other democratic nations for supporting her, standing up to leader Nicolas Maduro, who is wanted in the U.S. for illegal drug trafficking. The government remains shut down a 10th day.
Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are playing politics with the lives of real American people.
But they blame Republicans and House Speaker Mike Johnson as Democrats demand health care provisions be added to a funding bill the Senate won't consider again until next Tuesday. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and police in Lawrenceville are investigating a fatal shooting that claimed the life of a 19-year-old woman Thursday morning. WDUN's Lawson Smith reports.
Lawrenceville police were dispatched to Lauren K. Court just after 1 a.m. to reports that the victim had been shot in the head by her boyfriend. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect, 19-year-old Sebastian Pesteridge, remained on scene and was detained without incident and charged with involuntary manslaughter after an initial investigation. The victim's name has not been released.
Dozens of people are out of a job due to a Commerce business closing. Employees telling 11 Alive that the book distributor Baker & Taylor closed without notice this week. One man who worked with the company for more than 30 years received a separation notice with no severance. There were reportedly more than 100 employees with Baker & Taylor at the time of the closing. City of Gainesville's traditional Mule Camp Market is back for 2026, and at this hour, the 31st Mule Camp Market is open at the renovated Midland Greenway and set to feature over 180 vendors offering arts, crafts, food, and live music. Mule Camp Market hours are Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sunday from 12 to 5. More details can be found at GainesvilleJCs.org or through the City of Gainesville's Facebook page. And a health research organization reports hundreds of thousands of Georgians may drop their health insurance next year due to cost. GNN's Liz Kennedy with details.
Massive increases in premiums for 2026 have officially been posted on Georgia Access, the Affordable Care Act marketplace exchange, affecting more than 1.5 million people in the state. And those who are covered through the marketplace will reportedly see increases in premiums nearly triple for next year. The increase increases are due to COVID-era ACA subsidies that are set to expire. It's part of the reason for the government shutdown, as Democrats have been demanding that Congress extend these subsidies.
And a Barrow County resident is taking legal action against the Barrow County Board of Commissioners for violating Georgia's Open Meetings Act during a July 8th meeting. Full details and more news online at Access WDUN. Now, here's your Access WDUN Friday forecast.
A great Friday morning to you, North Georgia. Beautiful sunshine kicking off your weekend. Low 70s for highs later today. No need for AC. Roll those windows down again. Looks like partly cloudy skies for this evening for all your plans. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Jefferson, currently 59 degrees. In Clayton, 55. And in Gainesville, 58. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
The 28th annual Motul Petit Le Mans returns to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, October 8th through 11th. It's 4 days of world-class sports car endurance racing, culminating with a 10-hour IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship season finale, along with action from 4 additional racing series. Enjoy the fan zone, car corrals, grid walk, and so much more. Tickets start at just $60 with kids 12 and under admitted for free. Get yours today at MichelinRacewayRoadAtlanta.com and be there for the Motul Petit Le Mans October 8th through 11th at Michelin Raceway.
Aren't you glad that cooler weather and the fall planting season is here? This is Kelly, and Full Bloom Nursery is stocking up on beautiful mums and fall annuals. Plus, we're fully stocked with 4 acres of perennial shrubs and trees. Since 2003, Full Bloom Nursery has been helping customers all over North Georgia. To get started on your projects, give us a call at 678-616-3035. Visit fullbloomnursery.com for more info and be sure to like us on Facebook to see what's growing.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
It will probably go down as the most historic moment in either of his 2 presidencies. Peace in the Middle East, when those hostages do walk out, I mean, they think there's 20 that are alive. All day long, I have been thinking about Edith Ohel, who I met in Israel this summer. I was traveling there, and she is the mother of Alon Ohel. You may have heard of Alon. He was taken hostage at the Nova Music Festival. He's the jazz pianist. They have the pianos around, the yellow pianos. And I will never forget meeting with her and just the shattered life of a mother waiting for her son to come home. And now he's going to come home. And Donald Trump is responsible for it. And I just don't think you can take anything away from it. I don't know what Hamas is going to do in the future. I don't think we should trust these people any farther than we can throw them. But for the next few days, when those people come out, this is an unqualified diplomatic victory for the United States of America. It's not just a personal victory for the president, although it is enormous. But this is the power of the United States of America when it has a president that is capable of showing bold and pragmatic leadership on the world stage. So I couldn't be happier, but mostly because of my friend Edith, who I met in Israel. She's going to get her boy back.
Yeah, and it's the Martha Zoller Show. And last year at the Faith and Freedom dinner, there had been that first round of hostages that had been released, the ones that were after 55 days. And they were there at that dinner, and a couple of them sat with me at my table. And because what I usually do when I go to that dinner is I'll bring a few people, but then I'll give them the rest of the seats that I have to put people in that need a seat, rather than me giving them all away to other people. So I got to sit and talk to a few of those folks, and it's so interesting, Chandelle, the mix of emotions. I mean, they feel a little guilty because they're out. They're happy that they're out. They know there's other people that are still there. And as time went on, I sort of stayed in contact, and they feel guilty that they were there such a short time. And they almost feel, I mean, they're getting on with their lives. The big thing is they've gained weight. They're healthy again. Thank goodness, because they were young people. I'm not saying they won't have any physical problems from it, but you can recover better when you're younger. And but it was a very moving experience to be able to hear from them.
Yeah, I think there would be survivor's guilt under those circumstances. I also think there is the phenomenon of Stockholm syndrome, where you begin to empathize with your captors. And I wonder if that has happened to the longer-term hostages, where, like the individual who wrote the book Hostages, who spoke...
Eli Sharabi.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he formed sort of a kinship with the captors. And even though, he was able to use that to say, hey, not everybody feels that way about Arabs wanting to kill everybody. It sounds as though he was somewhat sympathetic.
Well, a lot of them said that they felt like they had to be nice in order, because they were trying to convince them also that Israelis weren't bad. I mean, in some cases, And the thing we haven't heard anything about at all, because there was, of course, Sheryl Sandberg did the great documentary called Screams Before Silence, which focused on the sexual assaults of the attack of October 7th. But, I was thinking to myself, I think I remember reading that they made the women take birth control because they were raping them, and they have been raping them, and I haven't heard of any babies being born or anything like that. And there were a lot of young women, so I don't know anything about that. And I haven't seen anything written about it either, which kind of surprises me.
It's very quiet.
Yes, that part of it.
Which is, I think, a function of the shame that women feel when they've been raped. I also think that they don't want to talk about it, right? So, because it's obviously, there have been some reports and there have been some women who've spoken out, but using rape as a weapon of war is nothing new.
No.
It's been that
beginning
way
of time.
Since the beginning of time. It's always been the argument against women serving in combat positions, that they are subject to rape and things like that. But, and I find it terrifying, personally, to think of that happening. But I think there's a lot to be said for at least surviving and getting out instead of dying.
No, I think so too. And I mean, it's the same kind of thing after the Holocaust. There were I had a friend, Morris West, whose parents were Holocaust survivors. Both of them were. And they both had, the tattoos on the number tattoos. And he described as a little boy, they lived in Brooklyn in a very heavily Jewish neighborhood at that time. And it was a lot of people that had come from the Holocaust and had immigrated there. And he said he didn't understand it when he was a little boy, but as he got older, what would happen was they'd be walking down the street and they'd see somebody they recognized from the camps. And then they would both look at their tattoos to kind of verify it. But that it was always as a little boy, he always saw it as that his parents would get very sad, and that kind of thing. And so this is why we can't forget things. This is why we have to call things what they are. Okay. And this is why we need to not use hyperbolic language for things that aren't hyperbolic. Okay. Because it does matter whether you were in a concentration camp or not. It does matter that this war was started, unlike, I think the New York Times said, something about some headline about, the war that Israel started with Gaza is over now, or the headline was just like unbelievable. I'll find it and I'll read it to you exactly. But it was just like, why is it everyone forgets October 7th? They think that this all started on October 8th. It did not.
No, this has been a long-standing conflict. Israel's never been welcome in the Middle East. They've had to fight for their survival since the State of Israel was formed by the United Nations. So this is nothing new, and it probably won't be the last situation where Israel's had to use military force, to protect itself. But I don't see Israel being an aggressor. I think in the previous situations when they have defended themselves, they've won land in the process. They've won the war, so to speak. And you contrast that with something like Putin and Ukraine. he invaded that country, and the territory that he wants to keep is territory that he won in the invasion. That's a little different to me than defending yourself, defending your borders. And I guess that means that borders are set. We're not moving borders just because somebody becomes aggressive. And to reward someone for by giving them land or what they want from an incursion onto other lands owned by different countries, I think is a very bad precedent to set. And that's what I've been so concerned about in this situation with all the sympathy towards Palestine. The idea that, okay, so every time they do something horrific, terrifying, and brutal, we give them what they want. Well, that certainly sends a signal to the rest of the world that all you have to do is attack and you'll get what you want.
And that's really a a second half of the 20th century kind of philosophy that we don't invade other countries anymore, because kind of prior to, World War II, the common thing was, up to World War II, I should say, you started a war by doing incursions into other people's countries and trying to take them over, right? And so we've done less of that in this post-20th century. And I think that has played in some degree to young people thinking this kind of stuff can't become a war like that, but it can. We just haven't done it in the last 70 years. We've done these kind of proxy wars in the last 70 years, but we haven't done the all-out thing.
Well, imperialism is certainly something that was the way the world worked.
Forever.
And that's why the UK still has interests in Canada and also...
well, they created a Commonwealth.
What's the place? Starts with a B in the Caribbean.
Oh, the Bahamas?
No.
Bermuda?
Bahamas, I think, are independent now.
Yeah.
It's not Bermuda.
They're still part of the Commonwealth, though.
But I'll think of it.
Okay.
But yeah, they still have interests in these countries, but they're beginning to let them go.
So when Oglethorpe landed in Georgia,
Barbados. That's it.
Barbados. The interest. He didn't go to Barbados. He went to Savannah, but the map that he drew showed Georgia going all the way to the West Coast. So he claimed Georgia, and then the map was all the way to the West Coast.
Who did
which
that?
Of course, Oglethorpe.
Oh, Oglethorpe.
Yeah, Oglethorpe, who found us and who founded Georgia. Obviously, DeSoto and all these other guys had been in different places prior to that. But it's an interesting time, and I think that we need to keep learning the lessons. And I'm hopeful that this is going to be a lasting piece because, and you laugh every time I mention there's this Netflix series called Matchmaker, Jewish Matchmaker, which was set in Tel Aviv in 2022. And it was vibrant and multicultural, and people loved being there. And it looked like New York, a smaller version of New York, and cleaner version of New York. So people wanted to go to Israel. But it's like there are factions that cannot stand when Israel, no matter what happened, they're successful.
That's true. And I mean, I've never been to Israel, but I've seen enough films and
Your
documentaries.
Kids have been, though, right?
Yes, all of my children have been, but I have not been. I'm afraid to go. I'll be honest. It's my luck in life that if I go, it will be.
Did Dan go?
Dan has been, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think he was there when he was younger.
That's kind of when they do it. What's it called? A birthright trip or something
birthright.
like that?
That's what my children went on with, the birthright trip. It's funded by the Israeli government.
Yes.
So it's a free trip to Israel when you're in college. But the idea being, and even Dan didn't really want to travel to Israel. He was never like, we got to go to Israel kind of thing.
Well, and I think I'm not surprised by that. It's funny, and then we'll take a break. My dad, of course, was a POW in World War II. I've talked about that before, and there were 3 times that my mom and he planned to go on a trip because his family was also German, so we had relatives in Germany too, and every time he canceled at the last minute. My mom would go with my brother, or my mom would go with someone else, friends of hers, but Dad would, he couldn't go back. He couldn't go back because even though he had family there and all that stuff, that the memories of what he went through, he didn't want to see it again. He didn't want to see it again. So we'll take a break.
Hey, it's Chuck Dowdle, and I'm looking for 25 Super Dog fans to go with me May 6th to Iceland with Colette and Peach State Bank and Trust. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to teach them how to call the dogs in Icelandic. We're going to see massive glaciers that sculpt mountains and valleys. We're going to see thundering waterfalls and plunging fjords. We're going to walk on a black volcanic sand beach, relax in the warm, mineral-rich water of the Sky Lagoon. And Colette has us covered, from arranging the flights, meals, hotels, and all the local experiences, allowing us to simply enjoy the journey. So call Colette at 800-581-8942 or visit WDUNtravels.com to learn more. Presented by Colette, Peach State Bank and Trust, and WDUN. Go Dogs!
Have you ever been at your wit's end over conflict? Hi, this is Whit Martin, pastor of Asbury Chapel. You may have heard it said, misery loves company. But what if we were able to leave misery alone and join company that brings joy and peace? I'm talking about company that is family, the family of God. The Bible says in Matthew 5:9, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." God's children make peace by first introducing others to God, the Father of this joyful family called the church, and then by bringing peace to those around them. Just as God made peace with sinners so that they can know and have salvation, so God's children are about the same business. What a world this can be if we will be about the business of making peace. And that is Wit's End. Asbury Chapel invites you to learn more by joining us for worship at 758 Main Street on Sundays at 10 a.m. Visit asburychapel.net for more.
On Friday, October the 10th, is Customer Appreciation Day at White County Farmers Exchange. For one day only, shop sales specials on in-store merchandise, a big truckload feed sale, plus seasonal animal health products and lawn and garden seed and supplies. From 11 to 1, enjoy a free hot dog lunch and enter to win great giveaways. Join us as we say thank you to our customers and enjoy extra savings Friday, October the 10th, White County Farmers Exchange, serving Northeast Georgia since 1928.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, the Barrow County Board of Commissioners reportedly violated Georgia's Open Meetings Act, and a citizen is filing a claim. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I am so proud of our president and my country, despite what the president of France has said, despite the prime minister of England, of Australia, our friends in Australia, the prime minister of Canada, despite all of them acting like whiny, weak wokers who sided with Hamas, President Trump has brought Hamas to the table. He gave them a very simple choice, either accept peace or we're going to slap you to Pluto. And that's how you have to deal with these hard people. And I just want to say I'm very proud of what we've done today.
So I love John Kennedy. I mean, he is hysterical. Clever
I bet he was
with
a great
words.
trial lawyer.
I bet he was. Don't you think?
Yeah.
He reminds me of Bob Andrews. You know what I mean?
No doubt. And, I think what he says is interesting because it takes a lot of guts to slap someone to Pluto, as he put it, because there's for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction usually.
Yes.
So you might just tip the scales. So, having the guts to do that, it says a lot about somebody's personality, I think, because most people kind of, well, wait, if I do that, there's going to be this that happens in response. So the fact that he sort of didn't care about the ramifications is, I think it's a good personality characteristic for someone trying to end a war.
Well, and it's being willing to take risk, okay, which a lot of, and I take this back to him being a real estate guy that's not afraid of leverage, okay? So he takes risks in his business. But it's funny, John Kennedy was on the Ruthless podcast this morning, and they were talking about the government shutdown, and he says, we feel certain that our caucus is going to stay together. There are 6 states that are states that Trump won that have Democrat senators in them. And what I understand and what John Kennedy talked about is that their phones are blowing up, those Democrat senators saying, hey, we want you to vote to open up the government. And these are all senators that are up for election next year. So I think we've got, I don't know how much more time, a few days, a week, but then this thing will be settled. But one thing that I thought was interesting that he said about all of that is that, that President Trump is a deal maker, and he is having his own meetings with these senators. And so we are fully aware, meaning the Republican caucus, that he could make a deal that we don't like, but we're going to get the government back open again. They're going to get it open again. But I want us to relook at Graham-Rudman, and I don't think it'll happen in this term. Graham-Rudman is the bill that was passed in the 90s that put us on this path of how we pass budgets. And prior to Graham-Rudman, you never had government shutdowns. They happened, but the idea was you're going to get to an agreement, so we'll just keep funding everything automatically at the levels they're already at until you pass a budget. And so there were 5 or 6 under Reagan, there were under Eisenhower. I mean, you name the president, there were these lapses of time that were common. It's not uncommon. What changed with Graham-Rudman is it became a political tool instead of just a budgetary tool.
Right. Well, I think that the party that feels the most pressure is probably going to capitulate to the other side. The Democrats have, I think, a very strong position in that everyone's health insurance is going to double or triple if you're within a certain income level. That's unbelievable because the rates are high now.
Well, I don't buy that number, but I will tell you the biggest problem with the Obamacare subsidies that were put in for COVID and then were extended is that they now, and I don't think, the problem is, I think everybody agrees that the subsidies for certain level, the income level used to be $130,000 or something like that. A family of 4 making $130,000 got a subsidy. Now you can make $600,000 a year and get a subsidy. I don't think anybody thinks that subsidies should be for people making $600,000 a year. So I think there is a negotiating point there that they might be able to get some movement on. And it, that's the thing there.
The Atlanta Journal had a very detailed article yesterday doing sort of a hypothetical. Apparently the rates are already out, so you can go on their website and see what your rates are going to be.
20% it was going to go up anyway.
They said for a woman who made $85,000 who was 60 years old, her rates would go from, I think it was $1,300 a month to $4,600 a month.
But do you know whose fault that is? That's the ACA, and I'll tell you why. Because in order to make the ACA work, okay, people like us, well, we're in Medicare now, but when we were in that 55 to 65 range, you can charge 4 times more than the people that are under 30 because they wanted the people under 30 to sign up. So they gave them the best benefits in the ACA. One of the articles that you probably hated in the in the Washington Post, was that they did a very detailed article last week where they basically showed the problem is the Affordable Care Act is not affordable, and it never has been. There are 20 million more people that are insured, which is good, but the costs have not been kept down. And we came within one vote of revising the system, and that was the famous John McCain no vote that happened. But we'll see what happens with all this. And I think there will be, Thune has said he will negotiate on this, but he wants the clean CR first.
Right, and that's the problem. Once you give up your leverage, you don't always
your
get
leverage,
what you want.
As Senator Whitehouse said, we need our leverage. And I was like, okay, just different pronunciations in different places.
Speak the King's language.
Yes, we'll be back.
Some car dealers want to sell you a car. At Hardy Chevrolet, we'd rather help you find the vehicle that's right for you. This is Mike Cormier. We call it the Hardy Chevrolet difference. Since you're the one who will be in the driver's seat of that new Chevy, we think you should be in the driver's seat when it comes to making the selection. It's like Charles Hardy always said,
we love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take DayQuil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the DayQuil.
Undo your flu symptoms with DayQuil Intense Flu. DayQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
DayQuil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
For the playoff contenders, Shane was the pain that never went away. Van Gisbergen is going to win the Bank of America Roval 400.
Now it's time to roll the dice in the round of 8 as NASCAR heads for Las Vegas for the South Point 400. We'll have it Sunday at 4:30 on North Georgia's home of NASCAR. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa. President Trump visits Walter Reed Medical Center this morning.
What he is describing as a semi-annual physical, the president says there's nothing to worry about health-wise.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House U.S. Central Command confirms the Israeli Defense Forces have completed the first phase withdrawal to the Yellow Line, so the 72-hour period to release the hostages is underway. Fox's Steve Harrigan explains what some Palestinians are doing at this hour.
People feeling it's safe enough to walk north, many of them heading back to their homes after being displaced by 2 years of warfare, making the walk north with the Mediterranean on their left.
Now, she was known as Sister Jean, the Loyola University Chicago team chaplain who became an overnight celebrity during the school's Cinderella run in the 2018 NCAA basketball tournament. The university confirming her death at the age of 106. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
WDUN. From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. Police in Lawrenceville investigating a fatal shooting that claimed the life of a 19-year-old woman Thursday. WDUN's Lawson Smith reports.
Lawrenceville police were dispatched to Lauren K. Court just after 1 a.m. to reports that the victim had been shot in the head by her boyfriend. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect, 19-year-old Sebastian Pesteridge, remained on scene and was detained without incident and charged with involuntary manslaughter after an initial investigation. The victim's name has not been released.
A Barrow County resident takes legal action against her county's Board of Commissioners for violating Georgia's Open Meetings Act. Alicia Belhog filed a petition Monday claiming that July 8th's meeting regarding the addition of a vague cost reimbursement item to the meeting's agenda went right before the approval of the agenda, and that item ended up being a full divestment from the SRO program beginning in the next fiscal year.
The reasons are unclear, but it's definitely clear that it's a decision that they tried to make quietly.
Belhog posted an update to Facebook Thursday saying that all parties involved have been served. And the city of Gainesville's traditional Mule Camp Market is back, with the 31st camp being held at the Midland Greenway, set to feature over 180 vendors beginning today at 10 a.m. and running through the entire weekend. More details can be found at GainesvilleJCs.org and on our webpage at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN Friday forecast.
A great Friday morning to you, North Georgia. Beautiful sunshine kicking off your weekend. Low 70s for highs later today. Looks like partly cloudy skies for this evening. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Blairsville, 53 degrees, Maysville, 54, and in Gainesville, 55. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
What if I'm survived by a child or a grandchild with special needs? How can I provide for them after I'm gone?
This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I have over 35 years experience dealing with special needs situations. I can show you how to put together a plan that looks out for them when you no longer can. It's up to you, however, to make the first call. Visit my website, kevintharpwithane.com, and learn how to get help planning for your family's future.
Waste Eliminator is a full-service waste management company providing critical disposal, recycling, and environmental solutions for business and residential clients. From large-scale commercial projects to smaller residential cleanups, Waste Eliminator offers reliable dumpster rental service tailored to your needs. Whether you're tackling a renovation, new construction, or even a simple home cleanout, Waste Eliminator will manage the waste efficiently and sustainably. Visit online at wasteeliminator.com.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
You know, I don't know if one day perhaps the entire story will be told about the events of yesterday, but suffice it to say, it's not an exaggeration that none of it would have been possible without the President of the United States being involved. It really began with your trip to the Middle East, where these relationships were forged with partners in the region, personal relationships, close relationships that created the foundation where all of this was possible, where I think this really took a turn. Remember, a month ago, no one thought this was possible.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and it was a great day, and hopefully, we can be in the euphoria today and tomorrow, and then Sunday we'll see if how the speech goes in the Knesset, and then Monday if they release the hostages. And, and I think the question the texter brought up was a good one, and you said you thought about it too. It's like, how do we know that these aren't just hostages they're going to use at another time, these so-called bodies that they can't find?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be at all surprised to learn that 28 of the 48 hostages had died in captivity because the constant bombing and the warfare going on probably made it very difficult to stay alive for a lot of people. But certainly hostages who have no ability to move freely were sitting ducks. So.
Well, I think the ones in the tunnels were safe until they came in and shot them, like they did. But because that's what Hamas did. Whenever there were bombings, they went down in the tunnels because the tunnels would protect them. But the hostages, obviously, that were in people's homes, which is another thing that's going to have to be dealt with, in whether you call it re-education or whatever. But there was a substantial number of people that accommodated this situation, either through fear or whatever. And even Eli Sharabi, who we've talked about a lot today, Eli Sharabi said that there was one person so they asked him the question, did any Gazans show you any kindness, And he said, well, there was one person that would come a couple of times a day and give us another crust of bread. I mean, it was like, they would go 20 hours. They got basically one meal every 20 hours is basically what they got, he said. And that there was this person that when they would go to prayer, he would break off and bring them a little crust of food or something and then go on. And, but he said, I don't know if I would call that kindness just because it wasn't like we talked or anything like that, but he did bring us a little crust of bread.
Yeah. Well, I think when you have a situation where it's about value systems and politics and war, there are government actions and then there are true believers who believe in the cause of rebellion or of any type of situation where there's a cause. There are going to be people who go to extremes to make sure that the cause is realized. I think you could say the same about certainly the people who hid Jews during World War II. Or you could say the same thing about the feelings about ICE right now, the hatred of ICE by certain groups. Maybe not you, but there are people who just despise what they're doing. And the government yet is on the TV every 5 minutes. They've got a join us, help the world kind of propaganda. So I feel like it's not necessarily a very simplistic analysis, because when you're part of a group, you try to help the group achieve its ideals. And whether those ideals are right or wrong, you still, as a human being, want to try to help the group.
Well, I mean, and to be fair, I mean, the Gazans put themselves in this situation. They voted Hamas in as a political party, and then, the Israelis left and famously basically removed all the Jewish people. I mean, there's a lot of very difficult video to watch of the IDF removing Jews who had homesteads in Gaza in 2005 and 6 because of the agreement to get out. But they left behind, this is what I don't understand, they left behind a really good infrastructure, greenhouses and farmlands and buildings and things like that. And the first thing Hamas did was blow all that stuff up. That should have been your sign. Remember that comedian, here's your sign? There's your sign that you made the wrong decision.
Well, how about the fact that they spent all of the aid money on building tunnels?
I know, the size of the underground. Yeah.
Right. I mean, why do you need tunnels? You're preparing for something in the future if you're building all these tunnels. It's not to get somewhere. So that right there just shows they're not thinking straight. They just, and hopefully maybe exposing these people to the real world and the way things work and giving them some opportunity to rebuild will help them come into the 21st century and, become part of the world order rather than always being the terrorist or the bully or whatever, and leave Israel alone.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, just get onto your own piece of land. And I do think that the interview I saw with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia that happened 3 weeks before October 7th, and I believe was the catalyst. I'm not saying they weren't planning it, but that was the catalyst of speeding up this event and doing it when they did it, because Saudi Arabia said they were very close to recognizing Israel. And then 3 weeks later, this happened, and all kinds of things got stopped because of that. But Saudi Arabia this Crown Prince does want to kind of bring Saudi Arabia, not turn it into a Western nation, but they want some of what we have. Okay. Same way with Qatar, where they have cracked down on Al Jazeera, which it was always a state-owned, media center, but they've cracked down on them and said that you got to be more balanced about how you report on this war. Everything cannot be pro-Hamas. And they have done that. They've participated in these negotiations, and to some degree has played both sides of the fence. I mean, they're kind of all over the place. But there's also other countries. Indonesia, which is the largest Muslim country in the world, has been helping out. Even though they're not part of the Middle East, they are a Muslim country. And so there has been how long it will stay together, but there has been a collection of countries that usually don't work on the side of Israel, in fact, has never worked on the side of Israel, that is maybe not on Israel's side, but on the side of peace.
Well, and the other thing is, Gaza is on the water, right? I mean, most of it's waterfront, beachfront. And they could develop that into a Riviera. Instead, they've just ruined their reputation. I mean, I'm never going to go to Gaza for my summer vacation, but they could have been there.
Yes.
They could have been a peaceful neighbor that worked together to develop the country in a way that made them prosperous and able to compete on the world order.
And this is what's so Trumpy about how this thing came together, and that is Trump started out with this kind of Gaza Riviera idea that was crazy, okay? But it was so far out there that people went, wait a minute, we don't want that to happen. Let's start working together. Because immediately after that, Arab countries that never recognized Israel went and started saying, we want to help with this, okay? And my friends at the Ruthless Podcast, they had this merchandise called, Gaza Riviera, which is really very funny. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. So you can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911, and you can text us too. Do we have a call?
We do. Let's head out to Robert in Gainesville.
Hey, Robert. How you doing? Robert, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you. This morning I was watching some videos about Charlie Kirk's legacy, and I was absolutely just amazed at what depths of honor people are giving to him. And it just shows that when you work for God and advance His kingdom, how much He will honor you. And it's the most beautiful thing I've seen in my life. I really mean that.
Thank you.
And thank God we're going to see more of it. And this is something that will never go away. There will be no end, simply because God honors that man for what he did. He said the absolute truth. And now that's hard to find in this world. But that just shows you what God does when you do speak the absolute truth about God in all its different ways of expressing. Jesus loves you is one beautiful aspect, but also letting us know that we need to be saved in order to overcome the world. And he said it all, and he said it in a good way, and that's just a wonderful tribute. All these videos of tributing Charlie Kirk's life is just absolutely amazing.
Robert, thank you for your call today. And just a couple of little notes on that. There has been, interestingly enough, I'm good friends with a guy by the name of Justin Giboney, who does this thing called the AND campaign. He was a former Democratic operative that was having a hard time squaring his Christian faith with some of the tenets of the Democratic Party. He hasn't left the Democratic Party, but he's left Democratic politics. And he has created this thing called the AND campaign, which is urban Christian churches. And they are doing a lot of great work in Atlanta. There's a literacy program, and we've had him on the program, and I love it because it's like you don't say, well, I agree with you, but you say, I agree with you or I disagree with you, and we can find into some more positive way of approaching things. But he reached out to me last week because he had some concerns, and Bernice King, the daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., reached out to him. That's why he reached out to me, that he felt like the black church was not responding in the best way to the Charlie Kirk murder. And so the King Foundation, the King Center, the AND campaign, and big black churches in Atlanta are going to be getting together on November the 5th to have a prayer breakfast in honor of Charlie Kirk because they still don't agree with everything that he said, but they feel like the tone they've taken maybe wasn't the right tone. And they're going to be they're putting this together, and they've asked me to help them a little bit. I'm going to be in Israel during this event, so I'm not going to be able to be there. But, I think that if Charlie Kirk has a legacy, we don't know what it is yet, but I think he's gotten people to think about their positions about things. And the events that have happened since he died, the ones, because they've kept his tour going, but with different people leading it, have been very positive.
I don't know what his legacy will be. I mean,
it's too soon.
It's very strong, no question about it. And certainly when I hear quotes from him, sometimes I agree with what he's saying, sometimes I disagree. But I think that primarily it has scared everyone to death. As you heard my son say the other day, he's, after watching that, because it was so graphic, you cannot remove that image from your mind if you happen to be one of the people who viewed the videotape of him being shot. You can't remove that from your mind. It's almost like a sci-fi movie. It's so graphic. So I think it has scared people into thinking, okay, this could happen to me if I get out there and talk.
I think there's a faction of that, no doubt about it. But the whole trying to debate reasonably I hope will be the legacy.
I read an interesting article about his debate style, and they've analyzed it. They've had several debate coaches analyze it, and how he did things, and how he was able to sort of win all of the arguments he had with people in these debates. And it was basically using a lot of hyperbole. And then being able to quote statistics, real or not real.
Yeah, but I think the other thing he did from a positive way that I loved is that he put the mic down when the other person was talking. So that indicated that he was going to listen to what they said. And then he had this tactic which I think was good. He would ask the person their name, and then he would acknowledge if they were disagreeing with him. I know it was really hard for you to come up in front of this crowd and say something that might not be popular. And then he went from there. And look, he got better over the years, like we all did. I'm sure if someone watched your first argument at 26 or whatever it was that you were out of law school, 25, you were probably not as good as you are today. And so he got better over time, and he didn't have as much time as you've had to get better, or me.
Right.
So
yes, he was very gifted.
He was
gifted
very gifted
speaker. You know, when you do
motivational, very motivational.
Right. When you do public speaking, it's not usually off the top of your head. I mean, you generally have prepared for it. Most public speaking.
Or you prepare chunks of it that you're comfortable enough with. That's what Johnny Isakson always did. He was so good at it. He had like a running kind of blocks of things that he had memorized, and he would put the blocks together depending on what the crowd was, but he could deliver it without notes and be very real about it. And that's what Charlie did. He was very real about what he had to say.
Right. Generally talking points, and then, having them committed to memory, or you can pontificate without making it look like this is a canned speech.
That's right. We'll take a break and we'll come back.
Keeping you up to date with the latest news and weather. It's what we do every day.
It's the news I trust.
North Georgia's News Talk. AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Fall in and save big at Krause Family Hyundai. This fall, drive a new Hyundai Santa Fe with as low as 0% APR financing, or lease a new Hyundai for as little as $239 a month. And every new Hyundai comes with America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty and Hyundai Assurance. With hundreds of new Hyundais to choose from, you can get it all this fall. Visit KrauseFamilyHyundai.com for full details and see us on Atlanta Highway exit 16 off 985.
Haley's back with us from your local Clipper store. We're talking about the brand new location on Falcon Parkway, and you've got something really cool, literally, for folks who are thirsty.
Yes, Bill. So we just opened our new store off of exit 14 in Flowery Branch, and we have cold brew on tap for all you coffee lovers out there. We also have the new Bean to Cup, where you do not have to wait for a hot cup of coffee. It's instant and it's delicious.
I'll agree with that. Coffee at Clipper, always the best. That's why we say Clipper, never fly solo. The 28th annual Motul Petit Le Mans returns to Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, October 8th through 11th. It's 4 days of world-class sports car endurance racing, culminating with a 10-hour IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship season finale, along with action from 4 additional racing series. Enjoy the fan zone, car corrals, grid walk, and so much more. Tickets start at just $60 with kids 12 and under admitted for free. Get yours today at MichelinRacewayRoadAtlanta.com and be there for the Motul Petit Le Mans October 8th through 11th at Michelin Raceway.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
Warning, the national debt is spiraling out of control. Trade wars are causing record volatility, and inflation could make a devastating comeback. Will you sit on the sidelines and wait, or will you take action today to help protect your hard-earned retirement savings? And what if you could do it tax and penalty-free? Find out more by requesting your free 2025 gold and silver kit from the top-rated precious metals company, Goldco. Plus, you could get an unlimited instant match on bonus silver if you qualify. Call 855-969-GOLD to learn more. That's 855-969-GOLD. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN WWN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom. A 19-year-old woman is dead following a fatal shooting in Lawrenceville early Thursday morning. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN talk and text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Some breaking news which has reached us during that break. The Moody Blues singer and bass guitarist John Lodge has died at the age of 82. That has been confirmed by his family, who have also added John peacefully slipped away, surrounded by his loved ones and the sounds of the Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly. We will forever miss his love, his smile, his kindness, and his absolute and never-ending support. We are heartbroken, but will walk forwards into peace, surrounded by the love that he had for each of us. As John would always say at the end of the show, thank you for keeping the faith. There.
Yep. So Moody Blues, one of my favorite bands of all time.
As to their greatest hits?
Nights in White Satin.
Oh, of course.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And Ride My Seesaw, and there's just a million of them. That's kind of the soundtrack of our lives.
Right.
The Moody Blues. My husband and I love them. Your Wildest Dreams was their kind of comeback. I Know You're Out There Somewhere was in the 80s. So they did records in the 60s, 70s. Days of Future Past was it was kind of the precursor. So Sgt. Pepper's was a story album. Okay, and so was Days of Future Past, and they both came out in like 67. They were never as big as the Beatles, okay, but they had that sound. And, Justin Hayward is still alive. Mike Pender is still alive. Ray Thomas has passed away. Graham Edge is still alive. But John, I met him a couple of times at Chastain Park, and then he actually played golf here at Chicopee Woods with my husband, and it was a great time there. And, he was a bass player, and my daughter got to meet him because she played bass in a little band in 8th grade called Ben Jammin'. She probably would hate for me to mention that, but she played bass, and she was saying something about not knowing all the words to the songs, and he said, darling, I only know half of all the songs that I play. Meaning because he was the bass player. And I have a picture on my mantle of me and Lynn and Lanny, Lynn's friend, and John Lodge that he signed for me. And I've got a rose in my teeth because he said, put it in your teeth, darling. And I did. I mean, it was just like the biggest groupie thing I ever did in my life was working my way through AOL Instant Messenger, tracking down the people that were in the band, and then actually going to Las Vegas and meeting them. And it was fantastic. It was great. And it's great when they turn out to be as nice as you hope they're going to be. I mean, I haven't met that many famous people in the music world, but it's great when they turn out to be as nice as you hoped they would be.
Yeah. I think the Moody Blues, they're a huge name, right?
Yeah.
But I just can't place what song they have done
Well,
that I
and-
love. But I know Nights in White Satin. I never really vibed with that song.
Yeah,
so
it was
much.
a long song.
It was
It's a long song. It was hard to get radio play too because it was so long. But John was married to the same woman since like 1965. He had a couple of kids. His daughter was married to the guitarist of Yes, which is not the original guitarist of the Yes, of course, because that's John's age, the new version of the band Yes. And he did a bunch of songs in lockdown. He lives in Florida most of the year. He has a place in England, but because he's a golfer, he moved to Florida because you can play golf year-round in Florida. Plus, there's no income tax. And so he had a stroke about 2 years ago, and he had recovered enough to actually do a tour last year. He did a small tour. He was at one of the small venues in Atlanta, and we went to see him, and it was great. I mean, he's 82. He's old. He's had a good life. He's had a very, very full life, which you can't be sad about.
And
that.
you get to do what you want.
Yes.
He loved music, and he got to do that his whole life.
And he loved music. That's right. Until the day he died. He actually released a couple of other songs maybe 5 months ago. They're on Apple Music. Anyway, have a great weekend. Go Dogs, beat Auburn. Always here, always local.